Hi everybody. This little PowerPoint is going to help me explain to you what I want you to learn about developing tiered lessons. By the time you're looking at this PowerPoint, you're going to have already taken your learning style quiz, and you're going to start thinking about how you're going to create activities based on your students' learning styles. Looking at this slide right now, what you can see is that at the top you've got identifying outcomes. What should the students know, understand, or be able to do? And this is a pretty general idea that you want all of your students to be able to know, understand, or be able to do. Next, you have thinking about your students. You're going to, when you're creating a differentiated instruction lesson, you're going to pre-assess their readiness, their interest, or their learning styles based on the learning profile, which we've already created last week. And then you're going to start thinking about your activities that you're going to do in the classroom. So if you take any subject matter and you think about what you want your class to know about this, you might give a frontal lesson at the beginning of the class in order to give a basic understanding of where you're going to go with the lesson. Then if you look at the bottom row, you're going to see group 1 task, group 2 task, and group 3 task. Creating these different tasks, these tasks can be based on their readiness, their interest, their learning style. And how you present these activities is what we're going to be talking about right now in this webinar. This PowerPoint. What we're going to talk about now is cubing activities, and it's just exactly what it sounds like, creating a cube of activities. If you think about a cube and the 6 sides of the cube, you can create a bigger cube using something that looks like this. Then thinking about each side of the cube, you would be able to create 6 different activities that might appeal to 6 different kinds of learners. One side might say, describe it, and the it can be anything from a pasuk of Torah to a character in Torah to a character in a book or a chapter in a book. It can be tailored for anything you want the kids to really take a serious look at. So one side would say, describe it. Another side would say, compare it, associate it, analyze it, apply it, argue for it or against it. Thinking of these questions automatically, it leads you to think about Bloom's taxonomy, taking the kids from the lowest level to the highest level. When I've used a cube, you can create a cube for each level of Bloom if you want to. So you would have 6 different cubes available to the kids, or 1 cube and you want them to complete 3 out of the 6 sides. But making sure that each side of the cube is programmed with a different kind of question, helping gear the kids back to the information you want them to learn. Here's a sketch, an example that you can have to help you create the cube. You can buy these cubes at the dollar store, or this is a black line of one that you can go ahead and print out and use it exactly the way it is, or program any kinds of questions you want to on each of the sides. Going back to our lesson plan, handy dandy lesson plan guide, here are the bottom 3 tasks. Would be easy to do by giving them cubes. Each one might be a different cube where they would have choices of tasks that they could complete based on, again, their readiness, their interest, or their learning style. And what we're going to look at is some examples of what a cubing exercise might look like. So you can go ahead and take a look at this one. This is what you would do. Start by deciding which part of your unit lends itself to optional activities. Decide which concepts in this unit can you create a cube for. Is it possible for you to make 3 cubes or 3 different interests or levels of topics? And then it goes down into the steps for creating your cube. You're going to write 6 questions, 6 sets of directions. Either they're appealing different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, they are appealing to different kinds of learners, they are appealing to different kinds of activities geared towards different learning styles, or after you've assessed them, different levels of comfort with the material you're going to have them study. The second step, use the first cube as your average cube if you want to do it that way. Remember, all cubes need to cover the same type of questions. You're covering the same basic content. You're just having them take it a different way depending on where they are in understanding, knowing, and using the information you want them to come away with at the end of the lesson. Creating cube activities like this might be something that they would use over the space of a week or 2 weeks even, depending on the rules that you would see in the third step. These are crucial. Always remember to have an easy problem on each cube and a hard one regardless of the levels. You can color code the cubes for easy identification, and you have to decide on the rules. Will the students be asked to do all 6 sides, roll and do any 4 sides, do any 2 questions on each of the 3 cubes, however you want to plan that out. Here are some ideas that can help you. Ideas for a kinesthetic cube: arrange blank into a 3D collage to show, make a body sculpture, create a dance show. And even if you take some ideas from the kinesthetic cube to add to your own sort of array of activities for your lesson, this might give you an idea of how you can appeal to different kinds of learners. Maybe it takes you outside your comfort zone of the kind of learner you are. Again, this might be one for first graders. Here's one a little more complicated for upper school kids. Using this as an example that you could use to create any cube based on whatever material you want the children to know, understand, and do. Here's one that a former student of mine did, cube activities for brachot, and she was a lower school teacher, but you can take it any way you want to. Choose one of the brachot that we learned about and mime it to the kids. They need to guess which bracha you're doing. Draw a poster of your favorite bracha. Use cutouts from magazines, markers, and stickers. Try and think of which senses we use in that bracha. What time of day do we use them most? What else are we doing when we are using them? Compare, write down on an index card what is common to all the Birkot HaShachar. Explain why do we only say these brachot in the morning. Use your Siddur to find when else in our day to say thank you to Hashem for things that we may have just take for granted. And finally, create a new bracha. Can you think of something else that we do in the morning when we wake up, which is not in Birkot HaShachar? How would you say thank you to Hashem for it? Think of how all the Birkot HaShachar are constructed when you write the new bracha. So again, the teacher is asking them to use the material that they should have learned in your content piece and create something new with it. But she also has on the cube something very easy for the kids to do first or at any point to get them sort of into the mode of doing the cube and understanding the material. So if we look at this again, your top tier, of course, identifying your outcomes for the lesson. What should the students know, understand, or be able to do? Think about your students. You've already pre-assessed them in terms of the content. What is their interest levels? How does their learning profile tell you that that is their best mode of learning? Creating initiating activities. Use common experience for your whole class, something that you would give them the basic information. And then your tasks can either be 3 tasks or 3 different cubes should you want to do it that way, or 1 cube and they have to complete 3 out of the 6 sides of the cube. However you want to program it or develop the activities so that each of these groups is doing different kinds of activities, either depending on their readiness, their interest, or their learning style, helping them to understand the material you want them all to come away with. Here's something to remember when you're doing these kinds of lessons. No matter how much you do, you'll always feel that it's not enough. And just because you can only do a little, it's not an excuse to do nothing. So I'm challenging you this week to come up with a lesson that would fit within this lesson plan. Identify outcomes, think about your students, create an initiating activity for all, and then break it down into 3 different tasks. These tasks should reflect either a different readiness, different interest, or a different kind of learner. You can use a cube if you want to. You don't have to use a cube, but using the information from the cubes, this will help you to figure out how you can create these 3 different activities.